morning. It should be music to the Fed's ear, but you still see recession somewhere in the near horizon.
Yeah, I think really you can't discount the possibility of a recession. In my mind, it's not a question of if, it's when. And this is the thing. You don't want to try to time a recession. It's kind of a silly endeavor that people, I think, have been missing for the last year and a half or so. But ultimately, I think we're going to see an overshoot. That doesn't mean I'm bearish, though, on the market.
Sure. And, but speaking of that, though, I saw you were looking or thinking, talking about the broadening of the market, right? Beginning of the year, this is a big beef. Everyone's saying, oh, you just got these 7 strong stocks that are leading the way. Ironically, as soon as all the names started participating, names over the 50-day moving average, looks like we hit a peak, right? We're coming on strong right now. Is there a particular number that you want to see before you start buying, or should people even be waiting?
I actually don't think people should be waiting for breadth to improve. I think they need to be focusing on the stocks that are doing well. And that's negative breadth is an indication of, let's just say, a not so healthy market, but that doesn't mean everything's sick. And so it actually makes, as I see it, it makes my job easier because there are less stocks to consider. And I still like the big tech names, as you know.
Let's talk about big tech for a moment, because the resolve has been absolutely mind-boggling. I'm seeing now stories and people are talking about, hey, remember Cisco? I remember Cisco. Nvdia ain't Cisco. It's a whole different story. But one of the reasons that I think a lot of investors are missing out on this, or sort of guessing, wondering when the resolve is going to go away, look at the hedge fund ownership. This is hedge fund ownership of these mega cap names. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. Even they finally gave up, right? They didn't really have any positioning until sort of October of last year.
Yeah, they were kind of late to the party, and they're not going to be quick to leave early. The thing that was interesting about Nvdia, I was one of those folks that thought, okay, the stock's going to get a good pop because they're going to announce, out of this world earnings, and then it'll probably drop just as kind of an exhaustion gap. And that happened for about 2%. I mean, it basically did not give up its gains. And the last I checked this morning, it's still up about 3.5% from the pre-earnings close.
Right.
And so this stock is still really strong. And it just sounds almost monotonous to keep harping on Nvdia. But I think you got to stick with the winner as long as it keeps winning. If you're riding a bull, you ride it until it bucks you off. Or you don't ride it at all.
I think what people need to understand is that even though it's the same name, it's a different company. It's a different company in the last 3 months. It became a different company. The fundamentals have changed so dramatically. When you go back, you can actually argue that it's cheaper now than it was 3 months ago. I think that 500 gap, to your point, may be just a mental sort of thing. Yeah. Some folks sold it to strength. Where do you see Nvdia going? You also like Google. Do you have a target?
Yeah, well, with Nvdia, honestly, I'm looking at $1,000. Not right away, but in 2024, I could see the stock kind of coming up to 500, pausing a little bit, and once it breaks through, I think 600 would be a minimum target, and 1,000 might sound outlandish, but analysts are always trying to stay ahead in their price estimates. They're always trying to stay ahead of a super high growth company like Nvdia, and they're kind of constantly behind. One thing, if I can,
real quick,
Nvdia is a different company, but the industry group is different.
Right.
These businesses are coming to them with AI and crypto mining both, so they've got moats around them that make them impregnable.
Absolutely, and that's what I was saying. Just if you look at the order book, the revenue growth, the guidance, the buyback, everything about it says this is a completely different company. The forces have improved just that much. By the way, you had a chance to make news. You should have went to 1,200. 1,000 is not the number one target. Next time you got to go big, my man. Go big. We got to let it go.
Well, then, okay, hey, 1,200. 1,200.
There you go. We'll get it on the wires before the close. Thanks, Dan.